You're watching Chick-fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on WACH Fox. Good evening, everybody. Welcome into the Chick-fil-A Overtime. I'm Corey Miller, the pastor of Payne. Of course, week number 2 as we have restarted. Talking a lot of high school football, a lot of things going on right now, a lot of 7-on-7s. You know, kids are competing, no pads on, but they're getting out there running routes, trying to, and really it's an offensive drill. Let's just be real about it. When you can't hit folks, you can't really reroute. So the offense is going to have more success. But we talked about a lot of 7-on-7s, a lot of practice, a lot of lifting, a lot of running. So guys are getting ready in the dog days of summer. Joining me now, my partner in crime, SC Varsity's very own Jim Baxter is here with a nice colorful shirt on. Looks good. Kind of look like Irmo colors. I mean, Coach Kennedy was here last week.
Steelers.
Oh, Steelers colors. Okay, so it looked like a yellow jacket, kind of covered up the Irmo there. Yeah. But a lot of good teams, Jim, is, you've been working guys out. You're doing the quarterbacks. You got the D-line, O-line camps. You training. You're sending a lot of kids out there right now. Just real quickly before we get into teams, tell me a couple players that you've been kind of impressed with this summer.
Well, I mean, it's the same guys that we've seen last year that were pretty impressive. I mean, you start with guys like Jason Hopper, wide receiver over at Lexington. I think is probably one of the more exciting offensive players in the Midlands area. Stephen Davis, Dutch Fork, has done real good in passing league so far on the defensive side of the ball, which is something we can talk about later. I'm not a big fan of the passing league if you're a defensive coach because
it's hard to win.
Well, what happens is on the defensive side of the ball in passing league is sometimes your linebackers are taught or just by habit drop back too quick. And then so when you get in a game, they don't do the same thing. It's not game simulation. But anyway, Stephen Davis has done a good job. Dutch Fork's got a new quarterback coming in, transfer. Can't really talk much about that right now, but I'm going to see him tonight. But Donnie Baker over at Lexington has done a real good job for the Wildcats. They look good in 7-on-7. Jalen Nelson over at Ridgeview has done a good job. Had a chance to see him. Brandon Tillman, River Bluff, is going to be one of the better players in the Midlands area. I think he may be one of the top athletes in the Midlands.
Well, a lot of good athletes out there. Of course, we'll get to a lot of those later on during the course of our shows here on the Chick-fil-A Overtime because my pastor's picks, I'll tell you who the best players are in the Midlands. Now, let's look at some teams. I want to start with Lexington. Josh Stepp has done a really good job. I enjoyed going out there last spring or this spring, watching them. They have a lot of good players. You talk about the defense side of the ball. We know they're going to be pretty solid. Now they lost some players there, got some holes to fill. So does everybody. But the quarterbacks look good. You mentioned the receiver; they look really good. The timing was down, but the Wildcats took a step back a little bit last year. Not the season that Josh wanted, but I think this team's going to bounce back.
I think they're going to bounce back. I mean, they're loaded from a skill standpoint. They may be one of the more impressive teams I've seen in the Midlands in the off season. They've got two quarterbacks, Donnie Baker and Brandon Blake, both doing a good job. I think Donnie Baker is probably a little bit better game manager, and he may be the guy to lead this team. Slade Carroll at running back, Jason Hopper. They got Jason Rump transferred over from White Knoll High School, 6'5" wide receiver. So on the offensive side of the ball, they're solid. Defensively, Trey Mitchell, linebacker, I know you like him. Yeah. He picked up an offer this week from PC.
Nice.
You've got Nick Graves, who I think is one of my favorites in the Midlands area. So they're loaded on both sides of the football. I think the key for them is going to be the play of the offensive line. They lost a lot of talent on the offensive line. They've got one really good guy coming back at left tackle, the Blackman kid, Hunter Blackman. He's pretty strong, but they're gonna probably early have to play kids both ways. They've got a strong defensive line. They may have to take a couple of those kids and play them on the offensive side of the ball until that offensive line develops.
Yeah. Well, another team out in that area, we call it Lexington County, I guess, will be White Knoll. Coach Dean Howell out there. Really nice football team last year. They really not fancy how they do things, but I like how he was working this spring. I mean, it took him a little while. I mentioned this last week that his quarterbacks were playing baseball, so it kind of held them back, but I like what they were doing. The linebackers looked really big and very athletic. The offensive line were solid. They always seem to have good size, but this is a team that I think Coach Howell really preaches toughness, execution, and just mindset. I mean, I like this White Knoll team, and I think this is a team people are going to have to watch out for.
They'll be physical. He's got a couple of good quarterbacks, McKinnis and Groves, both coming back from last year. They also got a transfer this week. rising sophomore from Airport, John Eric Kirkland, who's going to be in the mix. He's a pretty good athlete. I like this team. I think they're very strong at linebacker. Linebacker position may be their strongest point this year, and defense wins football games. So if they can get that taken care of, they're going to be competitive in that region.
Well, defense wins championships, not just football games. Another team we're going to talk about is a team that I think may step down just a little bit. AC Florida. I think they lost a lot, but I know that Reggie does a nice job. He got some good players. They were intense. They went at it. But I don't know if that's going to be the same AC Florida team that we've seen, especially last year. The Falcons are always well coached, no doubt about that. Their strength program they're really, really good. They're strong, they're fast, but I think they step back a little bit.
I think they're going to miss the big play ability of Denzel Johnson. I think you take a kid like that out of the mix, and you're immediately going to have a drop off, at least in the big plays. They got Brendan Green back. I like him. He's a good quarterback. He's a good leader, and he's going to do well for that football team. They've got a tailback this year. I don't know if you've seen him play. That's about 6'1", 6'2", 210 pound, kind of a throwback tailback type of player, and I think he'll be big for them on offense. But they're going to be good in the trenches. Again, you talk to Reggie Shaw, it's just like every coach. They say, well, it's going to depend on how we play on the offensive line. But they've got the ability to be a pretty good football team, and I think they can compete in that region and be one of the favorites. You look at that region, it's going to be AC Florida. I think Chapin's got to be the favorite coming into the season, but Dreer's going to be in the mix as well.
No doubt about it. Speaking of being in the mix, real quick, we got about 40 seconds before we hit a break. Ridgeview, when you're talking about all the new coaches that are here in the Midlands, let's take a look at Coach Perry Parks and Ridgeview, because this is a team that has athletes. Now they got I like to call it a sheriff in town. Ridgeview is going to be a nice football team, and they're going to be like one of my surprise teams. Real quickly, Jim, what do you think about?
I like them. This week in Baxter's Blitz in the state newspaper, I had them listed as one of the impact teams in the Midlands area because they will impact that region. They're going to come into this season, just like every year, people aren't going to expect anything from them, but this year they're going to have something to show them. And I think they're a team that could easily finish in the top 3 in this region. I think, everyone's going to circle Dutch Fork as a favorite coming in here. But honestly, if you look at Blythewood, Spring Valley is going to be down this year. I believe this is a region, this is a perfect year for Ridgeview to have a good football season, because they could finish as high as number 2.
Well, we'll see, and we'll talk to the man who is the new sheriff in town. He's going to be on the set. Coach Perry Parks will join us right here after the break in your Chick-fil-A Overtime. You're watching Chick-fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on Watch Fox. Welcome back to Chick-fil-A Overtime. Corey Miller here with you now. It's time to feature our Coach's Corner, Coach of the Week. That coach sitting next to me, Coach Perry Parks of Ridgeview High School. Glad to have you.
Appreciate you having me,
And
Corey.
your first year here in the Midlands. And how has it been? I know we talked to you in the spring, and you guys were getting at it. You were into it. You had the big hat on. You're rolling. So how's the summer been for you?
It's been very well. The kids have been responding well to new coaching and different styles and techniques, and community's been very welcome. They want a great brand of football, and hopefully me and my staff, we can bring it to them this season.
Well, I like what you're doing. You've been very big on social media. You're putting your stuff out there. It's like you're building a brand.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great thing for coaches to do, especially first-year coaches like yourself, to come in and put your brand on this football program.
Exactly. We talked as coaches, my administration, Coach David Gordon, our athletic director, Dr. Brenda McFoxworth, my principal, and they're letting me bring in some new energy. We switched to Nike, we switched our logo up, changed the colors, going back to the old silver for the teams that Ridgeview's past. So just trying to change things up and let the kids exactly see, how you work hard and you will be rewarded from different aspects of our program.
What's been your message? Today, with the culture of kids are different, and a lot of them don't have, role models or fathers at home. And I know it's a great opportunity for a young coach like yourself, to come in. And again, when you talk about branding and almost like a mentor and or ministering to these young guys, has it been a challenge for you? Or
I embrace it, especially being a younger coach in the state of South Carolina. I think the kids can relate to I'm 10 years removed from playing at Coastal Carolina. I'm 10 years removed from being in their shoes, chasing that dream of getting a college scholarship. So I think they can relate to me that much more. I'm definitely a player's coach, so every day they know I tell them I love them. let them know that I'm here for them. Like I'm a service coach, I'm a player's coach. So I'm gonna do everything I need to do to make sure they're successful on the field. Only thing we ask you bring 110% every time you step on the football field for us.
Now you played for Coach Bennett, who's
yes.
now over
Yes,
at River
sir.
Bluff, and I had a chance to talk to him about you, and he
Yes,
had nothing
sir.
but great things
Yes,
to
sir.
say about you as a player, you as a coach, what you're doing, and have you put together, I want some dogs?
Oh, I got a couple of them, and some of the things I say, my kids kind of look at me crazy, and in my head I pause and I say, man, I sound too much like Coach Bennett.
Yeah.
So I try to step back, but he's a great coach, and about 90% of my program is the lessons I learned from him, and I take my hat off, and I always be indebted to him, and I appreciate everything he did for me in college.
The saying is, players take on the persona of their coach.
I believe it.
You talked about you kind of like Coach Bennett.
Yep.
So if I were to ask you, Perry, who is Perry Parks? What you believe in? What excites you? What are you preaching into those kids?
We have 3 simple program philosophies or pillars our program stands for. Number 1 is education and family. That's first and foremost with our program. Secondly is working community. On a hard scrubber road, we got plenty of businesses, great neighborhoods. We want to tie into our community. We want our people in the community to think Ridgeview football when they think of high school sports and athletics. And third is that of football. We're going to preach 1 and 2 till we're blue in the face, and then we're going to have fun and we're going to take care of football when we get on that football field.
No doubt about it. But I think your team looks really good. You got a lot of athletes, a lot of guys that can run. Just talk quickly about your quarterback. Everybody wants to know about the quarterback situation. Some of your skilled players this summer, you get about 7 and 7. Tell me about that.
Exactly. Kids that I'm definitely proud of their effort. I know we had a kid that was there now, Trey High, and Jalen Nelson transferred in from Camden. Those 2 guys are battling for our quarterback spot as of now, and they're doing a great job. The receiver position is loaded. Cameron Butler played quarterback last year towards ACL, coming off of that injury, but he's had a great summer. Cameron Napper is coming back to Ridgeview. He's on for our school, and he was at Cardinal Newman, I think, last season. He's done a great job, catching the ball for us as well. And our secondary is loaded. We got 2 guys, Marvin Marshall, as well as Denichi Ash. Jim Baxter had him ranked as well. Those guys are holding down at the corner position. We got some good safeties that'll come off the hash. Excited for the 7-on-7 stuff, but I'm ready to put some pads on and actually, get a good measure of what we can do.
Well, it's going to separate. It's going to separate, like, them tough guys. And if something happens when you put those pads on, the helmet, and getting that heat,
it's definitely a difference.
It kind of weeds out some of the folks, man. But anyway, appreciate your time,
always,
man. Best of luck.
Appreciate everything you guys do for high school sports in the Midlands.
Always, man. I think you guys are going to do a great job. The Blazers, Ridgeview, man, I'm telling you what, there's something in the air over there off Hard Scrabble Road. Coming up later on, we're going to go to Skeezer. Eric Kimmerer, well, he's the guy that's won 7 state championships. He knows about that. He got a new kid in town, a quarterback that they go on. We'll talk about Hammond when we come back after the break. You're watching Chick-fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on Watch Fox. Welcome back to the Chick-fil-A Overtime. Corey Miller, Jim Baxter back on the hot seat. Appreciate Coach Perry Parks of Ridgeview High School joining us in our Coach's Corner conversation. The guy that's very motivated and looking to have a great season.
I think they're going to have a good season.
Yeah, I think so too. We'll see how much you think they're going to have a season next segment when we do our picks. So we'll see if you're feeling the love of Perry Parks. That's all I'm saying. All right, here we go. Let's switch gears from 4A to Skeezer. And that's, but there's a team in Skeezer that are just dominating. Can't anybody beat them? Can't anybody unseat them? The Skyhawks of Hammond, Eric Kimmerer won 7 state championships out there. Had a camp this week, Jim. This team just seems to continue to get better and better and better. And
they're going to get better this year. I mean, this is a team that had a transfer quarterback in Graham Smith out of Virginia. This kid is a Division I prospect. He was, matter of fact, he was on Virginia Tech's board as high as number 2 on their board before he got in a car accident and was injured, and recruiting dropped off. But he's going to be good for them. They've got some good players over there. Lucas Prickett at wide receiver, 6'5". Jack Theodore was got some playing time last year as a backup quarterback. He's probably going to wind up in the slot or out at receiver for them. And of course, they've got B.J. Bennett's younger brother, Malik Bennett. They moved him from the slot back to running back, and he's a track guy. All the Bennetts are track guys, so he gives them a lot of speed coming out of the backfield.
Well, you talk about Bennett for you Gamecock fans out there. Brandon Bennett, Braylon Bennett. Well, that's Brandon's nephew and the son of Braylon Bennett, which played with me, not for me, but with me at South Carolina. That's his youngest son. So he's a good athlete with a lot of speed. But when you look at what Coach Kimmy is doing, he's such a great motivator, teacher of football, and he loves his job. A lot of folks have asked him, why don't you go take a bigger job? He likes where he's at, Jim, and of course those opportunities I'm sure have been there, but that's just a tough gig to give up. I mean, you can win, it's a nice private school, it's a great program out there, but do you think he ever move up?
I think if the right job came open, I think certainly he would put in for it, but he's got a great gig. I mean, he's winning over there, and Hammond is at the point right now where they no longer rebuild. They reload, and that's different for a Skeezer school. He's done a good job over there. I like the way he operates. I like the way that he uses spring and summer as a time to evaluate the data and look at the kids and see what he's got, and rather than trying to go ahead and get ready for the football season. It's hard to do that in May and in June. What you're doing now is seeing what you've got to prepare for the football season. He does a good job of that, and that team's always prepared.
Well, they prepared, and they've been prepared this week because Eric has been having a youth camp out there, and of course he's teaching and instructing. We had a chance to catch up with him at the practice.
The summer is kind of a foundation for the season, and our guys are putting in the work, and in the weight room are running and conditioning, a few 7-on-7 tournaments, but we keep it in the proper context. At the end of the day, it's July, and what we're shooting for is playing well in November. So we don't take it too seriously. We work hard, but we're not trying to compete for a championship right now.
He just about work. He's not going to talk about too much. He's not going to have the kids too hyped up. He's not winning the championship this week. Yeah. So, but we know Coach speak. They always preparing to win championships.
It's always in your mind.
The summer is about winning championships, no doubt about that. And speaking of championships, when we come back, well, I changed things up. We're not going to do the overall top 5, the passer picks right now. Why? Because there's no game. So they will basically stay the same. We're not going to move teams based on 7-on-7. But we're going to unveil our top 5 teams tonight in 4A. Who are they going to be? Will Coach Perry Parks, the Ridgeview Blazers, make the cut? Stay tuned and find out as Chick-fil-A Overtime rolls on. You're watching Chick-fil-A Overtime with me, Corey Miller, on Watch Fox. And we're back. Now it's time to unveil our top 5 teams in the Midlands 4A. So we're going to break things down for you because it's no games, as I said before the break. It's hard to kind of really evaluate right now based on 7-on-7. So Jim Baxter's Blitz in the paper, SC Varsity. You got all this stuff. You got all the information on your phone, your iPad. You're kind of like Phil Steele of high school football. That's how I look at you. You like Phil Steele of high school football. You got all the information.
Better looking.
Sometimes too much information. And that's why I think your top 5 might be a little jaded. So there you go. Take it.
All right.
Your top 5. Go right ahead.
You want to go with my top 5?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Top 5 for 4A in the Midlands area. Dutch Fork Silver Foxes got them number 1. Had them number 1 last week. They got a transfer in this week that's going to make things interesting. Lexington number 2. I think this could be one of the better teams in the Midlands. I got Blythewood number 3. I still got to see them do something when they get in pads. They've been kind of disappointing the last couple of years. Irmo, I know they only won 2 games last year. I think they're going to be a lot better, a lot more improved team this year. And the Ridgeview Blazers coming in at number 5. I had them listed earlier in the week as an impact team in the Midlands. I think they're going to impact that region.
You know what? You saw Coach Parks in here. We sitting in my office, and now he's your friend, right?
No. I saw Ridgeview. I went and watched Ridgeview in Lexington in 7-on-7, and I'm familiar with the Ridgeview kids. I've got several of them that train with me, so I'm familiar with those kids. So
there's no getting perks because they train with you?
No, there's no perks. I mean, they got a good football team. And, hey, listen, they're another team that's got a transfer coming in that could make a difference, make things interesting.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of transfers these days, but I'm just saying. All right, now, you ready? Drum roll, my man Dustin. Hook me up with the real top 5 4A teams right
this
here
what we
in the
call,
middle.
This is what we call the
Number
pool.
1, the team that won 2 games last year, Reggie Kennedy, will turn things around. This is the year you're going to see transformation over with Irmo. They're looking good on the defense side of the ball. They're going to go more of a one-gap scheme. They're going to get at it. They're not going to be two-gapping no more. They're going to get some things done. Number 2, Tom Knotts and Dutch Ford. They're just good. They're well coached. They're really disciplined. I like what they're doing. I think they're going to be a good football team. But I look to see Irmo beat them. Number 3, Dan Morgan and the Bengals of Blythewood. Say what you want with the pass on. Coach Morgan's done a great job out there, and a quarterback named Israel. Yeah, that's right. Watch David Israel out there. He's going to make some noise trying to get him a big scholarship. Number 4, Josh Stepp and the Lexington Wildcat. This is a team that's going to, I think, start here now, but they'll work their way up when the season gets rolling on. I like what Josh is doing. I like not just their starting quarterback, but they got a good backup too. And, of course, I love their defense. I think they're going to be good again. And number 5, because you knew I was going with Coach Perry Parks. Let me tell you something.
Listen, let
me just tell you something. Perry Parks is going to turn that program around. He had me fired up sitting here at the desk tonight.
That's what you call a poor man's top 5. There's going to be 2 of those teams right there that aren't even in the top 5 at the end of the season.
How are you going to say that right now in July? Irmo's going to be there. Dutch Fort's going to be there. Blythewood's going to be there. Lexington's going to be there. You just talked about Lexington. So that's 3 solids right there.
Got to be up top.
Oh, man. I'm liking Ridgeview. They're going to be my surprise team of the year.
Well, we both got Ridgeview in the same spot.
I like what he's doing, and I think he has some good players out there. The problem at Ridgeview has been discipline or lack thereof, I should say. And now these guys, when I was out there, Jim, they were having fun. And that's what when you're having fun as an athlete, as a football player, that's going to transition into wins. I like my man Perry Parks.
And listen, I'm going to say it, and I get a lot of heat for this sometimes. The other problem they've had over there is administrative support. I think Perry's getting a lot more administrative support than they've had in the past.
Well, we'll see. Well, that's going to wrap things up for us here. Can't wait to get to next week. Have a good night.